Hello, welcome to Nova's webinar on how to submit your census data while protecting your employees. My name is Lisa Dielman. I am an assistant team leader at Nova, and I will be your presenter. The information in this presentation is general in nature and should not be used for legal or tax advice. Please contact a professional such as attorney or accountant if you should need legal or tax advice. Today's agenda, we're going to go over the cybersecurity measures that Nova takes, as well as the record keepers and what you can do to ensure that the information you provide is securely sent. We're going to go over the census request background, the deadlines, accessing the plansponsorlink.com website, the editing guide, and the most of our presentation will go over all of the tasks of the year-end data collection step, and then we'll go over some residual frequently asked questions. So there is a lot of money within retirement plans, especially 401k plans, which is great for people so that they can retire, be comfortable in retirement. But sadly, that means that the bad guys have taken notice of this. And there have been more coordinated attacks on record keepers, where it could start with a phishing attack or a hack on an employee's email who may work at that record keeper, or an employee's email at the company, at the plan sponsor of the 401k plan. Attackers then they can get information from that employee's email that will help them be able to figure out the login for that employee's record keeper access. So like if you're with John Hancock, they could get some information by hacking into that employee's email to help them figure out what the employee's login might be to their John Hancock website and change their social security number or their address or something so that they can go in now and request a new loan or distribution. So we really want to make sure that we keep any personal identification information outside of emails. And with ACH and wire transfers, it is really difficult to recover this money once the theft has happened. So we really want to do our parts to make sure that things are as secure as they can be. This type of theft, where it is from someone getting their account hacked, is not covered by the fidelity bond on the plan, by fiduciary insurance on the trustees of the plan, or your E&O insurance that you might have for the company. So we all must be alert and do our part. So here is just a list of files that really should be secure. Whether it's coming to Nova, it's going to your record keeper, it's within your company, your payroll provider, it really all needs to be secure. Anything with a census file, a deferral file, a payroll file, address file, usually all of those have PII, that personal identification information in them of some sort. The non-discrimination testing files that Nova generates and provides at the year end with our compliance testing, we always mask our social security numbers, and most softwares do that as well, but some providers do not do that. So you just want to make sure that that information is also secure. The annual valuation reports that we provide to you, if we have to do those, we also mask our social security numbers, but you just want to make sure that it's sent securely because it does include people's names and birth dates as well. Tax forms such as the W-2, K-1, or Schedule C, that also includes social security numbers and should definitely be sent securely. If they are sent an email, they should always be sent an encryption email, okay? Let's see. Why is this not? Sorry, it took a minute. There we go. So here are the ways that Nova helps you keep that data secure. Our favorite way is to use our secure web portal, plansponsorlink.com. You have been provided this information if you are in contact with Nova already on setting up your login account to our website portal. This is where we post all of our important information, anything that has PII in it that in regards to your plan. And we can also send files to each other through a tab option within the Plan Sponsor Link web portal called Secure File Exchange. So you can send something directly to a NOVA employee. NOVA employee has to log into our Plan Sponsor Link web portal to be able to go in and download it. So, and vice versa, we can send you stuff that way as well. So it's incredibly secure. We also offer an encryption email through Zix Select. So if for some reason you can't get into NOVA's Plan Sponsor Link web portal to send files, you can always send files through email through our encrypted email of Zix Select, where you have to log in, create a login, upload your files, and send it to NOVA, whereas NOVA then has to log in to get that information as well. We also here at NOVA do not add any contacts to the plan without getting authorization from an existing contact. So if you have someone new that you want to have access to some of the plan files, we would need someone who is already an existing contact in our system to give us authorization, written authorization in an email saying, please add this person as a contact and give them access to the files on Plan Sponsor Link. We will not do it without that authorization. We also do mandatory training of cybersecurity for all NOVA employees every quarter of the year. And every 90 days, every quarter of the year, all of our passwords for all websites that we utilize and programs and software programs that we utilize that has PII, we must update our password every 90 days. So we do what we can to help keep the data secure, and we just encourage you to do that as well. Let's see. Sorry, went too long. And some of the ways that you can work on this is to use Plan Sponsor Link to upload the census data to submit it for the annual testing. I'll show you how to do that later on. Use that secure file exchange feature on the website, which I'll show you later on in this presentation. If you do have to send an encrypted email, limit the number of people who are copied on that email. It should only go to people who actually need that information that includes the PII. And we do suggest that you always use complex and long passwords and change them often within your own system. Okay. So for census request background, the first census request went out this past Monday. We had some more go out yesterday, some more go out today, and the rest will go out next week. So it's usually the first week of January, and then we will send out monthly reminders thereafter, if not sooner. Why is the year-end census request required? Well, we need that information in order to perform our required annual testing, okay? Whether that is a plan that has to have ADP or ACP testing, or if it's a safe harbor plan, we have to do annual testing on the plan. And there are certain tests that we have to do, whether it's a safe harbor plan or not. So we still have to check deferral limits. We have to check to make sure that if any employer contributions were funded during the year, that they were funded correctly, that someone did not get more than they should have gotten. And then the information is also used for us to prepare the required informational tax form 5500 for the plan and the form 8955 SSA as needed. So even if you have a safe harbor plan that has deemed to pass results for a lot of the tests, there are still other tests that we must run. And so therefore we do need the census data, and we still have to prepare that form 5500 on the plan. So when you are preparing the census file for us, we often get the question of which employees need to be included on that census. Any employee who works with your company, even for 1 day of the plan year that we are requesting, if they were paid W-2 wages, we need them reported on the census file. Even if they're not eligible to participate in the plan, if they are eligible but they decide not to, Doesn't matter. We need that information on the census file if they received any W-2 wages for the year. We also do request W-2 Box 1 compensation to be reported on the census along with gross wages, just to give us another check and balance to make sure that the information we received is accurate. We do understand that there can be typos and you know, fat finger mistakes on the keyboard, on the keypad of the keyboard and stuff like that. So it's just another check and balance for us to see if there's anything questionable on the census file. We do not want any person who is paid 1099 wages. If you have an employee, an independent contractor, and the company pays them 1099 wages and no W-2 wages, they do not need to be on the census file at all. They are not considered eligible to be a part of the retirement plan in any way, shape, or form. So NOVA has deadlines. When you get your census request email, you'll see that there are deadlines on when we require that census data. We have those deadlines because we are basing it off of the IRS and the Department of Labor deadlines that they have for certain tests and corrections of failed tests. So for plans where it's a required ADP or ACP testing, NOVA's deadline is usually January 31st. Because that way we can ensure, and sometimes we'll go to February 15th, but that way we can guarantee that if we have all the information needed to do the testing, if those tests fail and refunds are required to be distributed from the participant accounts, they are distributed by March 15th, okay? And that's the IRS and the Department of Labor deadline. If the refund is not distributed by that date, then there is a 10% excise tax due that the plan sponsor has to pay to the IRS, the Department of Treasury, for that late refund. Same with excess deferrals. So if anybody, you know, the deferral limit could change. You know, for 2022, it's $20,500. Let's say someone accidentally deferred $21,000. The payroll system didn't have that limit in there, and they're not 50 years old, so they can't do a catch-up. So they have an extra $500,000 that has to be refunded to correct that excess deferral. So the IRS and the Department of Labor deadline is April 15th, okay? So that's why on a plan, if it's a plan that does not need an ADP or ACP test, which is a safe harbor plan, then the deadline is March 15th for us to get that census data so we can guarantee testing is done and any refunds that are needed are processed by April 15th. The required informational tax form 5500 and 8955 SSA, their deadline is July 31st without the extension. Okay. These dates are for calendar year plans, as you can see, and if any of these dates fall on a Saturday, Sunday, or a federal holiday, the date will be moved to the following Monday or the day after the federal holiday. Here is the plansponsorlink.com webpage. This is the webpage link and what it looks like. The username is always the email address that NOVA has on file for you. If you have multiple email addresses, it'll only be the one that we have on file for you. If you've updated your email address but forgot to inform your account manager at NOVA, then it'll be your old one. So you definitely want to make sure that you're utilizing the email address that NOVA has on file for you. And if you have a different one that you want to use, make sure to contact your NOVA account manager to get that updated. The password, only you and Plan Sponsor Link program, the software, knows what your password is. So if you forgot your password at any time, simply click Forgot Password. They'll send a temporary password to you in your email inbox. Check your junk or clutter if you don't get it within a couple of minutes. And then you can use that temporary password to then update to a new password for your username and password login. If it's your very first time ever to log into this website, you will need to click on First Time User. Again, a temporary password will be sent to you to your email inbox. And again, check your clutter or junk if it doesn't go into your direct inbox, and use that temporary password to create your login. At any time, you can change your password. When you've logged in, you can either do it through that forgot password option, or when you're already logged in, like if you want to change your password every 90 days, you can simply go to the drop-down arrow next to your name and click on Change Password. The editing guide, it's pretty self-sufficient. So when you're in your year-end data collection project, doing all of the steps and going through everything, it's pretty self-explanatory on what the items are. All right, so we've gotten through most of the agenda, and now we are on the year-end census year-end data collection part of the agenda. So when you get the email that says that we are requesting your census for the year, that means that we have created this project that is now in your plan sponsor link web portal. So you'll always see it under the My Active Task tab until you've fully completed all the tasks, okay? Once you fully complete everything, you will no longer see it in My Active Tasks. You can start it and stop it at any time. You do not have to finish all of it all at one time if you need to find some information or if you just get distracted. So what you want to do is you want to find the year-end data collection for the year that we're requesting. So it's probably not going to be 2020. It'll be after that, but for the year that we're requesting, again, you should only have one in there for that one plan. And you just want to click on Begin Task. There are 10 steps to complete. Each task is completed by entering in whatever data is needed or verifying whatever data is needed by clicking Save after each of the steps. And this is what it looks like when all of them have been saved. They all have green check marks. This is what it looks like before you've done it. They all have little arrows with no green check marks, okay? So each step will have different functions and different items that it's asking you to either verify or add or anything. At any time, if there's information that you think might be pertinent for the plans testing that your account manager at Nova needs to know, you can click on this Notes button and leave a note for your account manager. Now we're going to go through all of the steps one by one. Step one is the company contact information. This is pre-populated with what Nova already has in our system, okay? So please review it. If there's no changes needed, then click Save and move on. Easy as that. If you do need to make any revisions or add anything, you can, the piece of paper and a pencil is the edit icon. You can edit it, or you can add a new entry, okay? 2 is the employer company data. Again, some of this is pre-populated. You just need to review it, make any changes as needed, and click Save to move on. Something that may not be in there already is your NAICS business code. And what that code is just the business type code that is reported on your company tax return. So we want to know what code you're using on your company tax return so that we can make sure that on the Form 5500, we get the same type of company business type, because the Form 5500 does require a business code as well. And so we want to make sure that the type that you have listed for your employer company taxes is the same type of business that we list on the Form 5500. Payroll provider, who does your payroll? If it's in-house, what program do you use? Is it QuickBooks? Is it Paylocity? You know, what is it? So we do ask for you to provide the information there. And then payroll frequency, is it biweekly, monthly, whatnot? And we ask for that because if your plan does allow for loans, we want to make sure that the amortization schedules are done on the same payroll frequency as the payroll within your company. Step 3 is principals. This is where we do want to know who are the owners and the officers. You can have officers who are not owners. You can have owners who are not officers, okay? So if you have someone who is an officer but not an owner, then you would just list who they are, what their title of officer is, yes, and then 0 ownership. If you have an owner, who's their name, title can be owner if they're not also an officer. Officer can be no if they're not an officer, and then how much ownership they have. You want to add entries, add it, click on add. If you need to edit anything that's currently there, click on edit. total ownership must add up to at least 100%. Why do I say at least? Is because you can have more than 100% because we need ownership through the entire year. So if we're looking at, January 1st, 2021 through December 31st, 2021 as an example, let's say John Smith had 50% ownership the first half of 2021, and then he decided to retire and he sold his 50% of the ownership to Jane Doe. We would want John Smith 50% ownership. We would want Jane Doe 50% ownership. And then whoever already had the other 50%, let's say Jason Smith, okay? So that would be 150% ownership. And then you'd want to leave a note. You'd want to click on this notes button and leave a note that says, John Smith retired effective June 30th. Jane Smith bought his shares effective June 30th, okay? That kind of information is what we would want in the notes section. If you have a nonprofit or a publicly traded company, simply put that under name and then 100%. You cannot save this step until you have 100% ownership at least, okay? If you have an outside corporation or a trust who is the owner of your company, please provide the persons listed within that entity, whether it's a corporation or a trust. Don't just put, purchasing company trust, 100%. Who are the people within that trust? That's the information we also need to know. Again, if you have more than one entity that sponsors your plan, please provide complete ownership of each entity. And again, it must be at least 100%, and that's why it can be more than 100% if you have more than one entity who owns the plan. Family relationships, we only need any family members of a direct owner of the company, of the plan sponsor company, who is also an employee, okay? So if you have an employee of the company, let's say it's the Nova 401k Associates company, and John Smith is 100% owner and his son Jason Smith is an employee, we would want Jason Smith listed here as the child of John Smith. Let's say Jason Smith does not work for the company, then I don't want his information here. I only want people who are family relationships of the direct owner who are employed with the company, okay? And it also helps if you know that an employee, let's say Mr. Lamp, okay? Mr. Lamp is an owner. There's another employee with the same last name as Lamp. If you do not have the relationship listed in this task of them being related, we will ask you about that. So if they are related, but they're not a child, a spouse, a parent, or a grandparent, let's say it's an uncle, you can put, relationship uncle. Do that for us. That way we don't have to come back and ask you. Or you can simply put a note, such and such employee Lamp is not related to the owner, Mr. Lamp. That's all we need, and that would be great, so we don't have to come back and ask you about that. Again, if there are no employees who are related to the owners, the direct owners, then you don't have to fill this out, just hit save and move on. If it's a nonprofit or publicly traded company, again, leave it blank, hit save and move on. Step 5 is other businesses. If the direct owner of your company, their spouse or their child has any other businesses that they own, we need that information listed. We are not trying to get that information because we are nosy Nellies. We need that information because we need to determine or assist y'all in determining if it's a control group or an affiliated service group, because that could change how we do the compliance testing on the plan. So that's why we need this information. When you add the business, please complete all the sections, which includes the ownership of all the businesses, and again, ensure that that ownership adds up to at least 100%. Step 6 is the contacts. These are the contacts that we show in our system for your plan. So it's pre-populated with what we already have, and you can add information, but you cannot delete it. So if any contacts that we show should no longer be contacts, leave a note for your account manager to go in and delete that person. If you need to add a new contact, you can do that. All right, so step 7. This one's going to take a little bit. It relates to compliance questions and how we can complete the compliance testing in the Form 5500. Most of the questions have yes or no answers. And if after this webinar video you still are not sure how to answer a specific question, you can always call your account manager and discuss it with them, and they can lead you to the correct answer. So now we're going to go through all of the questions one by one so that hopefully you can answer them. Questions 1 and 2 are asking you to confirm that you listed all of the officers and owners of the company, including their family members. So in the prior step, when we went through the principals and then we went through the family members, this is just a reminder that, hey, you know, did you do that? Do you have officers and did you do that? So it's just another kind of check, because if your answers here differ from the prior steps, we may call you. Plan sponsor, if their entity type is a sole proprietorship or a partnership. Basically, if it's a sole proprietorship, are they reporting their income on a Schedule C? If it's a partnership K1, or a partnership, are they reporting their income on a partnership K1? If yes, if either one of those are yes, then NOVA needs a draft copy or final copy of that partnership K1 or Schedule C. So if the plan is taxed as an S Corp, we do not need those K1s. Those are not the kind of K1s that we need. Only partnership K1s. 5 and 6, we're asking if the plan is a control group or an affiliated service group. Again, earlier when we asked for different businesses that the owner or their family members may own, it's also to help determine if the plan is a control group or affiliated service group, because it could change testing. A control group means that there's 80% common ownership in other businesses. So let's say John Smith owns this plan's company and he owns 100%. Well, let's say he also owns another company and he owns 80% of that company and someone else owns the other 20%. That's common ownership in those two businesses of 80% or more, and so it's a control group. An affiliated service group is a little more complicated, but basically 2 or more organizations with service relationships. And so usually if there is an affiliated service group, the company's legal team knows this, but not always. And so if you aren't sure based on what other companies that the owner owns, you know, you can discuss it with your NOVA account manager. Nope, went too fast. Okay. Number 7, was there any change in ownership, purchasing of a new company, or selling of a new company within the plan or the plan sponsor company? So again, if there was change in ownership under the principal step, you know, I mentioned, you know, make a note and leave that note in there. So you would have yes here, and then your account manager can see the note that you already put. If there's a new company, you would add that to the businesses, and then like a note, like this company was purchased on this date. Same with selling a company. Now, maybe your NOVA account manager already knows that, because hopefully you've already talked to them, because most likely it needed a document amendment to add that new company or sell a company if they were part of the plan. So, you know, if they're already aware of it, if we've already had to do document amendments or whatnot, then you can answer yes and then just put a note like you know, NOVA's already aware of it or whatever. But definitely let us know if there was any changes like that. Number 8 is asking if you had any employee that you paid W-2 wages for in that year but did not include them on the census. Why? If you mark yes here, please leave a note as to why. And we ask this because we do understand that there are always exceptions. Because, you know, earlier I said that every single employee paid W-2 wages from your company should be included on the census. So if you have a reason why you did not include someone, we need to know it. So leave a note for your account manager if you mark yes on this question. Does your plan exclude leased employees and you actually had some who received W-2 income? You would definitely want to mark yes here, and then make sure either on the census file you mark who is a leased employee, or you can add it into the notes section. that notes button of this step. Does the plan have any rehired employees? If you mark yes here, but on the census we do not see any rehire dates, we will come back and ask you for that information because we do need the original hire date, the termination date, and the new rehire date for each employee who has a rehire, okay? And I'll go into that a little more when we get to the next step, or the step 7. Do you have another qualified plan, whether there was NOVA or not? If you mark yes, we will have a conversation with you because that may we may need some additional information from those other plans for some of the testing results. Questions 12 and 13 ask if the employer maintains any of the following types of plans and if the employees are allowed to have pre-tax contributions into those plans. So, like your company may allow a cafeteria, Section 125, or health savings account plan for insurance purposes. So you would mark yes. But then when the question asks, do any of those plans allow the employees to fund pre-tax contributions? If you mark no, okay. If you mark yes, and we don't have any of that information on the census file in the column where it requests that information, we will come back and ask you about that. Now, if your plan does allow for those pre-tax contributions into any of the insurance, but no one took advantage of it, then you can mark yes and then just leave a note, like no employees funded pre-tax contributions, okay? That way your NOVA account manager doesn't have to call you and ask you about that. Question 14 asks if the plan allows for Roth employee contributions. We know what the document says. The document for the plan either says it does or it doesn't. But if you answer this differently than what the document has, that's a red flag for your NOVA account manager to have a call with you to go over that because there's obviously a disconnect somewhere and we want to make sure that you understand how the plan should be administered. Same with question 15. We know what the plan document has. We are asking you if you have the same understanding. So question 15 is only applicable for plans that have automatic enrollment, whether it's an EACA or a QACA, okay? So if you do not have an automatic enrollment plan, you can ignore this question. But it's basically asking you if your plan allows for permissible withdrawals of employee contributions after the start of their first contribution into the plan. So if someone was automatically enrolled because they did not elect out in time and they have contributions with help from their paycheck, they come back and they say, oh, I didn't want to be a part of the plan, I want to opt out. They also want their money back out of the plan. They can take a distribution up to so many days of that first payroll and opt out, okay? So we're asking, does your plan allow for that? If you state something and answer differently here than what is in your document, again, that's a red flag for our NOVA account manager to contact you to have that discussion so everyone can be on the same page. 16 through 21 has to do with employer contributions for the plan. So we are basically asking, do you want NOVA to calculate a discretionary profit sharing contribution? Do you want NOVA to calculate a discretionary matching contribution? If yes, you can mark yes, and then you can list how. You know, do you want a total profit sharing allocated? So y'all budgeted for $100,000. We'll allocate it. Do you want max to the owner, min to all the others, minimum to the others? Do you want everyone to get 5%? You know, just provide any kind of information on what you're looking for us to calculate that profit sharing contribution. Okay. Same with discretionary match. If you want us to calculate that, do you have a specific amount or a matching formula that you want us to use? And then just provide that on that line item. If any matching contributions were funded throughout the year, please, please, please enter in that formula that y'all used so that we're not trying to play the guessing game. We do request that you provide that formula if the matching was funded throughout the year. Number 22, if you had any fully disabled, Went too fast. Okay. If you have any fully disabled participants or deceased participants in the year, please mark yes and then leave a note as to who they are. That could affect employer contributions that were made throughout the year or that you want calculated on the plan. Most plans do not allow life insurance policies to be held in the plans anymore. That's a very old way to have life insurance in the plan. However, if your plan is one of those that does allow for life insurance policies to be an asset in the plan, then send the policy to your NOVA account manager through the secure file exchange, because we do need that information of the value of the policy. Number 24, was there a partial plan termination in the year that we're asking about, which is a reduction of more than 20% of your workforce in 1 year. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you do have a partial plan termination and need to do what all is involved in that to correct it, but it does give a red flag for NOVA's account manager to have an additional discussion with you so that it can be determined if a partial plan termination will be in that year. And will you be requesting an extension on the company tax return for the year? If you don't know that, then just mark no. If you already know that it's going to be extended because it's something y'all do every year, your CPA's already told you, then just mark yes, and then you're done with step 7. Step 8 are questions that assist with the 5500 questionnaire. There's a lot fewer questions than step 7, and again, most of them are yes or no answers. Okay. So number 1 is asking about late deposits. The government regulations on 401k plans have said that for a small plan, meaning you do not require an audit on your plan each year, you have 7 business days from the day that the payroll is processed to get those employees' contributions into their account into the 401k plan. Okay. So if the payroll date is January 7th, that's where the contributions are withheld and the paychecks are processed, you have 7 business days to then get those contributions to the record keeper to be allocated into those participants' accounts. If it was past 7 business days, and federal holidays do not count as a business day. If it's past that 7 business days, then you would want to mark yes and then leave a note for as to which payroll period that was. Okay, we are required to report that late deposit on the Form 5500, and the DOL definitely, there is a correction needed to correct that late deposit, and the DOL has been auditing plans a lot on this aspect. If you have a large plan, there is no set day rule. It's as soon as administratively feasible. But a lot of DOL auditors look at 3 business days, but that is not a guarantee. Okay. 2, 3, and 4. Hopefully all of these will be answered no. The reason being is these questions are still residual from old plans decades ago where people were doing weird things with their plans. They would give a loan out of all of the assets in the plan, not just a participant taking a loan from their own account. It would be a pooled account, and they would loan out money from the plan to some other entity, and then it would be defaulted. Hopefully no one does that anymore, okay? But it's still on the Form 5500, don't know why. Leases to the plan, same thing. Some plans used to have businesses that were part of a plan asset. They would have like a building as a plan asset, and then they would lease that building to someone else, and then it would go under default or be uncollectible of the payments, the repayments back for the lease. So again, hopefully that's no. Non-exempt transaction with a party in interest. Again, hopefully that is no. It's basically saying that you did something that shouldn't have been done with plan assets with someone who is considered a party in interest. Number 5 and 6 has to do with the fidelity bond. Number 5 is asking, if you have a fidelity bond, please provide the amount of the coverage of the bond for the year that we're requesting the census data. Okay. If your bond has an automatic increase rider in it, where it automatically increases based upon the plan assets every year, simply write auto escalate instead of the bond coverage amount, okay? Just write auto escalate. But if your bond coverage is only a specific amount, 50,000, then write that. If you have no fidelity bond, there is a hyperlink within this question, and it will take you to a website, a bond coverage company, where you can immediately purchase your coverage of the fidelity bond, okay? And then you can provide that bond policy to your NOVA account manager and then update what the bond coverage is, whether it's a specific amount or it's auto escalate. Oh, and let me specify on the bond. The bond coverage must be at least 10% of the value of the assets as of the beginning of the plan year, or if it's the first year of the plan year, $1,000, okay? Seven through 12, similar to step 7, similar to some of the other steps numbers 2 through 4 earlier on the prior screen. Hopefully these are all answered no. Number 7, did the plan have a loss, whether or not reimbursed by the plan's fidelity bond that was caused by fraud or dishonesty? You would know. So if y'all had to utilize your fidelity bond to cover a loss on the plan due to fraud, you would mark yes. If you had fraud and you had a loss on the plan that the fidelity bond coverage did not cover, you would mark yes. But hopefully that doesn't happen to anybody. Number 8, did the plan hold any assets whose current value was neither readily determinable on an established market nor set by an independent third-party appraiser? So most retirement plans, the only assets in the plan are cash, stocks, mutual funds, bonds, money markets, stable value funds, something like that, that is easily determinable on the market, on the stock market. This is asking if the plan has any assets that are not like that. If yes, we need the information, but that will be no. Same with number 9. Did the plan receive any non-cash contributions? The plan should only be receiving cash contributions to it. This is an old question, back when people used to contribute like a painting to their 401k plan instead of cash, based on the value of the painting at that time, kind of thing. So this day and age, all the retirement plans should be only getting cash contributions. Number 10, were any plan transactions or series of transactions in excess of 5% of the current value of the plan assets? If you have like a brokerage account firm like a Charles Schwab or Fidelity or Vanguard, if you have any of those types of transactions that were more than 5% excess, at the end of the year, they will send you a schedule of those transactions. If you do not get one, then you don't have to worry about it. And if you're with a regular record keeper, you don't really have to worry about this. This should be no. And when I say regular record keeper, I mean an online one where it's John Hancock, Voya, Empower, American Funds. Then most of the time, this should be no. If you did receive a schedule of transactions, if anything over 5%, mark yes, and then send that schedule of transactions to your NOVA account manager, because we will need a copy of that, as it needs to be attached to the Form 5500. For terminating plans only, meaning the plan is terminating, everyone is going to take their money, it's going to be at 0, not just moving from one record keeper to the next, like moving the money from one place to another, totally terminating the plan. This question is asking if all of the assets have been distributed. Basically, is the plan asset value now at 0 for the year that we're asking for the census data? And number 12, hopefully, is no, because has the plan failed to provide any benefit when due? That is saying that when a participant has asked for a distribution of their account, that the plan could not pay it. So hopefully that does not happen. That's not the case. It's definitely a rarity, because any needed to a participant should have enough money in the plan to pay that participant's distribution request. Almost done with step 8. For plans that allow participant direction of investments, did a plan incur a blackout period during the year? Yes or no? Basically, this is for if you're moving your assets from Voya to John Hancock. There's going to be a blackout period. They're going to provide you a blackout notice that you have to provide to your participants, saying that they can't do anything within their account for so many days because the money is going to be moving from one to the other vendor, record keeper. And so that's what this is. Most of the time, NOVA already knows if you had a blackout period or not, but we still want you to answer yes or no on this. And then, did the plan have investments in outside brokerage accounts or pooled accounts which have not been provided to NOVA? So if your plan is with Merrill Lynch and NOVA is not set up to receive duplicate monthly statements from Merrill Lynch, we would need copies of those monthly statements. So if you haven't already provided it to your NOVA account manager, please do so. And please get us set up with those duplicate statements so we don't have to bother you about it. All right, step 9, the employee census part. We're almost done. This is what it looks like. If this is not the first year that your plan's been with NOVA, then you will see employees listed here from the prior year's census file. If this is your first year with NOVA, then it will be blank like this. There's multiple ways that you can provide us with the census information, and I'll go through those. The first way is manual entry. We really do encourage you to only do this if you have less than 5 employees because it is very time consuming. And what you would want to do is right here, you'll see all this. You see this add here, you're going to add a participant. So you're going to click on add, and then this is what you're going to see. You're going to want to fill out every entry that pertains to your company, your employee, and the 401k or the retirement plan that you're doing. There is a scroll down bar. Please make sure to scroll down and look at all the options to provide all the information needed and required. For instance, if I were to scroll down, there would be a entry for officer. So if they're an officer of the company, we would want you to mark yes, okay? So you definitely want to make sure you scroll down. But this is time consuming, and so again, we do not suggest you do this for more than 5 employees. The other way is to download the census template in Excel format that we provide to you. And I'm going to go back a couple screens. You'll see here this import and this export. Simply click on this export button, and then you can download which type of Excel file, whether depending on which Windows version you're using, and then you save that file to your company computer, okay, to your directory. Once you've saved the file, then you open it and you can fill it out. You'll see this Employees tab and Instructions tab. The Employees tab is where you fill out the census data. Do not rename either tab. Do not remove either tab. Do not move either tab to switch around, and do not reformat either tab. If you do that, you cannot import it back into this step, okay? All we want you to do is open this up. The Instructions tab will have some information that's hopefully helpful to you. But then the Employees tab is where you would enter the information for us. Again, every employee who received any W-2 wages in the year should be listed. All owners need to be listed, even if you don't know their compensation yet, because they're K-1 or Schedule C income. We still need them listed, and we still need what contributions they funded throughout the year. For compensation, you can just put 1, and then we'll need a copy of that K-1 or Schedule C as soon as the draft is available. Any employee who terminated in the year we're requesting, because they received W-2 wages, we also need them on the census because they have to be included in the testing. If you have active employees within your payroll system, but they didn't receive any compensation for the year, we do need them on the census data. But please leave a note as to why they did not receive any compensation. Were they on medical leave? Are they in the system on an as-needed basis and they just weren't needed that year? You know, what was that reason? Rehired employees, as I stated earlier, we need the original hire date, their very first hire date ever with your company. We need their final date of termination, and we need their most recent date of rehire. If there's multiple dates of termination and rehire, and we do not already know that information from prior years, please leave a note as to what those are. So if you have a rehired employee, we need all 3 dates: original date, term date, and rehire date. Again, sole proprietorships have a Schedule C and partnerships has a K1. We need this information, whether it's the draft version first or the final version. We need these forms sent to your NOVA account manager through the Plan Sponsor Link Secure File Exchange section. We cannot finish the testing without this information, and we will continue to send you census requests even if this is the only data that we need, okay? We do understand that they're generally not available until much later in the year, but just understand that if we have everything else on all the employees, but the only thing we're missing is a Schedule C or a K1, we will continue to send those census emails to remind you that we need that data, okay? Once you've completed that census template, that Excel file with all of the employees' census information, save it within your directory, log back into the Plan Sponsor Link website, go back into your year-end data collection project, and go to step 9, the employee census step, and click on the import button. Browse for your saved file, and you'll get one of 2 messages: successfully imported, or there were errors and it was not imported. If it was successfully imported, you can still have warnings. Warnings does not mean it did not import correctly. It simply means that something might not be correct, and they just want you to verify that the information you provided is correct, that you didn't leave anything out. Errors, on the other hand, means it will not import, and so you have to send the census to us a different way. And it won't import because something happened. Something's in the wrong format. There's a character that should not be there that's listed in there. Something happened to the worksheets, just something happened. So if something happened and you're having import problems and it won't import, it keeps giving you errors, there's a really easy way to get that census to us securely. Simply hit save on step 9. It's going to give you this pop-up. You're going to say skip this step so that it saves step 9 and you have your green check mark. Then you're going to go into the Secure File Exchange tab up here, okay? Click on New Exchange. You're going to get this pop-up. Find your file that you saved and completed on your computer. Find the name of your NOVA account manager. For the message, put, such and such year census file. Put your plan name and hit send. What this does is it uploads the census file, sends an email directly to your NOVA account manager. You don't even have to do an email. It'll send it to them, letting them know that you've uploaded the file and that they have to log in and go in and download it, okay? This is also how you can send K1s, W-2s, Schedule Cs, the monthly brokerage statements that we don't have. If you have life insurance policies, any kind of really important information that we need to do our job that has any kind of PII on it, definitely send it to your account manager through NOVA Secure Exchange. You can also send distribution or loan requests this way directly to NOVA's distribution team. Exact same way, but instead of choosing your NOVA account manager, there's an option for NOVA distributions. You can upload it. They'll get an email saying that it's been posted. They'll download it, the file, and they'll start the process for approving and reviewing those distribution and loan requests. Once all 9 steps have green check marks, you're happy with everything, click Sign and Submit, fill out the information, and click Submit. And then you are done. Once again, we cannot complete a Form 5500 without all statements needed in order to for us to complete the Form 5500. And so again, if we do not already have duplicate statements coming to us for any brokerage accounts, please get us set up with to receive those duplicate statements. Your NOVA account manager can give you information on where those statements should come to. And then please provide statements to your NOVA account manager through that secure file exchange. So if you're just now going to get us set up with duplicate statements, we still need those statements from prior to now, right, for the prior year. So please send that to us. Once you're done, you can download for your files a copy of everything that you completed. It'll no longer be, your year-end data collection will no longer be in My Active Tasks. It'll now be in this data collection tab within your Plan Sponsor Link website. You can go in here, find the year that you want to download, click report, and it'll give you an Excel file that has all of the steps on different worksheets. The worksheets are all secure. You cannot edit them. It is strictly what you answered and completed on the data collection project. If your plan has been with NOVA for multiple years, the prior years are also in this data collection tab. So you can download prior years, see how you answered and how everything was completed, and to help you complete the current year. NOVA does have a sister company called AFS 316, and they can assist with the annual census data. You must have online payroll provider so that AFS can have read-only access to your payroll information, and then they can download and all the data needed on the census file that NOVA needs from your payroll provider. They'll upload it to Plan Sponsor Link for you, and then NOVA will be able to get that information from them. It is a fee of $300, and if you are interested, please contact Jake with AFS at jacobh@afs316.com. AFS also provides other administrative duties on the plans, and so if you're interested in all of the duties and the different items that you can sign up for, whether it's notice mailings, they can sign off on distribution requests for you. You know, you can ask Jake for more information on that, and he can provide you with the full brochure of services. We're almost done. The frequently asked questions, most of these we've gone over. I do want to mention this one. If you have multiple divisions with your company and you put that information on the census template that you exported from Plan Sponsor Link, you cannot import two different census templates back into Plan Sponsor Link. You can only import one file on that task. So either combine it all into one file or simply send the two different files through the secure file exchange to your NOVA account manager, okay? You cannot import more than one because it'll override what you've already imported. And that is all. We really do hope that this helps you complete the year-end census data collection project. If you have any other questions, you can ask your NOVA account manager or send an email to census@nova401k.com. And NOVA offers webinars all year round that are free for our plan sponsors. So you can go to this website to see what upcoming webinars there are and get signed up for any of them. We also have webinar recordings available, and we have a YouTube site where you can look at NOVA webinars that have happened in the past. Thank you for your time, and I appreciate it, and I hope you have a great day.